Hi, everyone, and welcome to Foundry Live 2021. My name is Joyce, your marketing host for today, and I hope everyone is doing well. Just to let you know, today's session is recorded and will be available as on demand once the event finishes. In today's session, we'll be covering what's next in Nuke, presented by our Nuke team, our roadmap, 2021 and beyond, and ending the session with a Q&A, taking questions from all of you guys. So make sure you throw in your questions in the questions tab. We are celebrating Foundry's 25th birthday, and Foundry Live is part of our celebrations, along with showcasing some of our key milestones from where we started to where we are now. Foundry was founded back in 1996 by Simon Robinson and Bruno Nicoletti, and Nuke has been our baby for quite some time now. From taking over development from Digital Domain in 2007 to launching Nuke Studio in 2014. I'm also going to take my moment and name drop some cool movies we were part of. Nuke and Ocula were used in production of Avatar in 2009, Gravity in 2013, and Star Wars The Force Awakens in 2016. And our recent proudest moment, the Nuke team winning the Emmy in 2020. So many things to celebrate, and you can see all of these milestones for Nuke and our other products on our anniversary page, which will be shared in the link, which will be shared in the chat, sorry. We are going to continue our celebrations with Foundry Live this week. Tomorrow we have our Research and Innovation Showcase, and on the 28th we have our Flick session, the future of Flicks and story development, and ending our week with Moto, completed Moto 15 series on the 29th. And I hope you can join us for all of these as well. Stay up to date with us. We have a dedicated page for insights, sharing case studies, trends in the industry, and artist spotlights, sharing their journey through their career and how they've enhanced their skills as well. Definitely make sure to shed an eye on this page, and of course, follow us on social media as well. We will be at View Conference, Spark Animation, NVIDIA GTC, and Real-Time Conference. If you are planning to tune into our sessions as well. We have a dedicated page for learning and training materials in case you are looking to brush up your skills or to expand them. Make sure to pay a visit and have a look at some of the great content we have. We also have Victor Perez's Color Management Training, Volume 1, which you can watch for free. We have various amount of roles available here at Foundry if anyone is interested. They range from marketing to products and engineering. So for more information on the job specs, visit our careers page. We want to call out a special thank you to our partners, Dell and NVIDIA. Not only have they been supportive of Foundry Live, we have been working closely with both companies to test and optimize our software with their products. So we're really excited to give away an RTX Quadro 5000 and other prizes. If you have opted in when registering into Foundry Live, you don't have to do anything, just sit back and we'll be in touch with the lucky winners. We're also giving away 3 digital Nuke books. Again, you don't have to do anything. We will contact 3 lucky winners. And a massive shout out to Daniel Smith, supervisor at Crafty Apes and author of this book, Nuke Codex. So I'm sure some of you have seen this already in inbox, have seen it floating around. We've launched our annual Nuke survey, and we would love to hear from you and get your feedback so we can continue our roadmap moving forward as well. So if you haven't had a chance to fill out the survey yet, this is your chance, and we will make sure to drop the link in the chat shortly as well. Our virtual events wouldn't be anywhere without our amazing studios and artists that we are working with. So thank you so much for sharing your stories, your insights, and your projects with us. And we're really looking forward to building many more stories in the near future. All right, that's enough talking for me. I hope I haven't scared anyone away with my information overload. And now I'd like to hand over to my colleagues from the Nuke team. Welcome, team, and over to you, Juan.
Thank you, Joyce. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Nuke Foundry Live session. I'm Juan Salazar, Senior Product Manager, and I oversee the timeline tools, Hero, Nuke Studio, and Hero Player. And Anna.
Hello, I'm Anna. I'm an Associate Product Manager here at Foundry and on the Nuke team. and I am working in a team focusing on artist-facing UX and UI.
Hi there, I'm Ben Kent. I'm the Research Engineering Manager and the lead on the AI research team.
Hello, I'm Anaís Torreblanca. I'm also an Associate Product Manager at Foundry, and I will be talking about the new features on the timeline.
Hi everyone, I'm David. I'm the Product Manager for Compositing and Finishing. I'm Juan's counterpart and I look after the compositing side of the Nuke family. All right, so now I'm going to hand it back to Juan and we're going to talk about some of the exciting features that we have coming up in Nuke 13.1.
Today we want to share with you what is coming in Nuke 13.1. This is the second major release of the 13 series. Last time around, we talked of all the features that started this series and how your feedback is driving our development. This time around, we want to bring you the evolution of these features. We'll show you from new user experience to what is new in the air tools to empower you as artists in comp, as well as in the timeline tools. We will also have a look at removing pipeline friction by creating better collaboration with other tools in the pipeline. And finally, we will look at some of the features that we are developing for next year. The team has worked tirelessly and we can't wait to share these features with you. So with that, let's start with some of these tools that will empower your workflows.
A big part of the 13.1 release is about empowering artists, helping you to do more, work more efficiently, and to make your lives easier. There's lots of things we can do in Nuke to improve your quality of life and help you to work faster. Many of you spend all day every day working in Nuke, and you have a lot of great ideas about how we can make things better for you. We have listened to some of those ideas. Last Foundry Live we showed you a few things we were working on, and now we're excited to show you some of the things that are coming in the Nuke 13.1 release.
We want to start by showing one of the features we're most excited about, which we think will have a really big positive impact for artists working in Nuke, and that's our improvements to the user experience in Nuke's 3D system. Building on the work we did for Nuke 13, introducing the new Hydra Viewer, Nuke 13.1 will have full support for macOS. Mac users can now use the new Hydra Viewer, which provides a much more accurate representation of the final render directly in the viewport, meaning that if you're using a Mac, you can now benefit from the new 3D viewer, so you can base creative decisions on what you see in the 3D viewer without having to keep switching back and forth between the viewport and the scanline render. But more excitingly, it may not come as a surprise to you that making it easier to move geometry around in Nuke's 3D space and improving the handles is one of the top requested features in Nuke. And in Nuke 13.1, we've done just that. Thank you for sending us all of your feature requests. We're building on the improvements to the 3D viewer by completely redesigning Nuke's 3D handles, making them more user-friendly, extending the functionality, and bringing them up to the standards of other 3D applications. These improvements make it quick and easy to work in Nuke's 3D system, making it easier to place cards, cameras, lights, and any other 3D objects exactly where you want them, directly in the viewer. We wanted to modernize the user experience in Nuke's 3D system, so we've studied the best examples from modern 3D applications to bring you improved workflow in Nuke and make it much easier to move between Nuke and your 3D tool of choice. We've redesigned the 3D translate, rotate, and scale handles, which now match the Katana handles, making the workflow between Katana and Nuke much easier. The translate and scale handles feature a new widget, allowing you to transform objects on 2 axes at once. This makes it much easier to do things like scale an object equally on 2 axes. We've added hotkeys so that you can change the size of the 3D handles in the viewer, so that you can now always find the 3D transform handle, however complex your 3D scene is. And we've updated the 3D pivot point control. You probably know how frustrating it can be when you move the pivot point of an object, but the geometry also moves, and then you end up playing around with axis nodes to try and line things up correctly. Well, the good news is that we fixed this, so you can now reposition an object's pivot point without changing the position of your geometry. Hopefully this should make working with 3D pivot points in Nuke much easier. We've also revamped the tools for switching between the different transform modes, adding a new toolbar and new hotkeys matching some of the most popular 3D tools. By default, you'll be able to switch between the transform modes using the QWER hotkeys, matching the hotkeys in Katana and Maya, but we've added options to use the hotkeys from Houdini or Blender, or to stick with the classic Nuke modifiers you've always used. This means you can now set up Nuke's hotkeys to match your preferred 3D tool, making it easier to move between Nuke and other software. So whatever workflow you're used to, whether you're moving between Nuke and other 3D tools, or you spend all of your time in Nuke, it'll be easy and natural to work with Nuke's 3D system. Lastly, we've added the ability to switch between object, world, and screen space orientation for the transform handles. This brings Nuke's 3D transform controls in line with other 3D applications and makes it much easier to work with geometry inside Nuke's 3D viewer. World and object space controls make it much easier to do precise positioning, rotation, and scaling of your geometry, regardless of how you've previously moved it. And the new screen space controls allow you to make adjustments to your object relative to the scene camera or viewer. This means that however you transform your geometry, you can always move it to exactly where you want it directly in the viewer. No more moving back and forth between the properties panel and the viewer every time you want to move an object, or having to find the exact combination of X, Y, and Z translations when you're just trying to move a card from the camera view for a projection. These upgrades to the 3D transform handles should make working in Nuke's 3D system much faster and easier. Move seamlessly between Nuke and your 3D tool of choice, and quickly place your 3D objects exactly where you want them to be. There's more to come with Nuke's 3D system. We have more user experience improvements in the works, and there's some exciting work happening to improve the 3D system's performance, which Nuke's Hydra Viewer and the 3D user experience improvements feed into. Hopefully, we'll be able to show you more at the next Nuke Foundry Live. The next feature to show, which is also designed to empower artists, is our extensions to Cryptomatte. In Nuke 13.0, we introduced native support for Cryptomatte in Nuke, and Nuke 13.1 extends the functionality to make it easier to make matte selections or create new custom Cryptomattes from within Nuke. Nuke 13.0 included wildcard support for Cryptomatte, which allows you to use the asterisk wildcard in the matte list to quickly make matte selections. In Nuke 13.1, we're extending the wildcard syntax with a new minus modifier, which allows you to subtract items from their wildcard selection. By extending the wildcard syntax, Nuke 13.1 enables you to quickly and easily make pretty complex custom Cryptomatte selections without having to manually click on every matte you want to add. It'll also make it easier to build templates using Cryptomattes, as you can type in the names of the mattes you need and use wildcard syntax to make sure that exactly the mattes you need are selected, even if they're not visible on the current frame. When we introduced native Cryptomatte support for Nuke 13.0, we got a lot of feedback saying that encryptomatte is also important. We've taken this on board, and so for Nuke 13.1, encryptomatte is a native Nuke node. The encryptomatte node allows you to convert any alpha channels from anywhere in your node graph into Cryptomatte data and combine it with existing Cryptomattes. The encryptomatte node takes any alpha input and converts it into a Cryptomatte selectable ID, which can be selected using the Cryptomatte node. The new matte can be merged with existing Cryptomattes, optionally being merged over or under them. Whether or not you're working with rendered Cryptomattes, using encryptomatte as a way to encode custom mattes makes it easy to pass mattes around and reuse them in your node graph. Encoding your roto or keys as cryptomattes could be a powerful way to bundle up the output of multiple nodes into a single stream, which can then be easily used throughout your script or rendered out to share with other people on your team or in different departments. Our extensions to Cryptomatte make it faster and easier to work with Cryptomatte data. Create your own mattes, combine them with existing Cryptomattes, and make matte selections with ease. Now we want to show you another feature which we think artists will love: Shake to Disconnect. This is a gestural control for the Nuke node graph, allowing you to shake a node to disconnect it from the pipe. Shake to Disconnect works with single nodes or chains of nodes, as well as selections across different branches of your node graph. When used in collaboration with the Nuke 13.0 improvement, allowing chains of nodes to be correctly inserted into a pipe, this new feature will make it quick and simple to move sections of script around, disconnecting and reconnecting with ease. For example, if in this script I decide I need to move this block of nodes, I can simply shake them loose and then easily plug them in over here. We've added controls in the Preferences menu for enabling Shake to Disconnect and settings for the sensitivity, so you can adjust these to suit how you'd like to work.
Following our vision of empowering artists, for this release, we are bringing some of the most requested features to the timeline, from core performance and stability to better workflows to deal with the ever more complex projects, as well as new soft effects. One of the main issues we hear about when using Nuke Studio or Hero is as projects become bigger and more complex, projects take longer to load. To improve this, we're doing a series of incremental improvements to drastically reduce the amount a project takes to load in the timeline. In this release, HeroOps files that have been saved on 13.1 will be opening 25 to 30% faster than in previous releases. If you have projects on 13.0, make sure to open them in 13.1 and save them. And next time you open, you will see the difference. As this is an ongoing project, we will continue to reduce the project loading times in future releases. When reviewing the problem of the loading times with some of you, we have seen some users deciding to divide the larger projects into multiple small ones. It's for these that we are also including the ability to copy-paste clips and sequences into multiple projects to make working with multiple projects easier. With this new feature, it will be quick and easy to move clips, sequences, or even complex business structures from one project to another, giving you the freedom to move between projects to suit your workflow. We think this will also be very helpful when creating dailies from different projects or to have better management when working with episodic work by making it easier to move elements from one project to another. We also thought about helping studios in managing their metadata in an easier way, and that's why we have included modified metadata to the list of available soft effects on the timeline. This creates an easy way for users to add metadata values and modify existing ones, as it can be used in different areas of the timeline, from track items to empty tracks. You can add metadata to each plate individually, or you can add metadata to a whole sequence, from adding vendor info to statuses to important tracking metadata. You now have more control over metadata than ever before. Let's face it, we all have our preferred way to manipulate color. Some like using a grid with lift, gain and gamma, others prefer the breakdown of shadows, midtones and highlights that the color correct gives you, and others like curves. And it is for this last one that we have added the color lookup soft effect to the timeline, enabling artists to color correct using curves and do adjustments using lookup tables. Now you have the color soft effect of your choice, as well as the ability to combine them to get to your look faster than ever. For the same reason, all the color soft effects in the timeline now include the unpremode and the mix knob, so users are able to unpremode by the RGBA channel, making sure your color work and your edges always stay perfect. And the mix knob lets you adjust the influence of any of your color corrections so you can address those. When it comes to editing and working with new edits, and now that we have more soft effects than ever, including all the OCIO, color and metadata soft effects, effectively managing the soft effects from one track to another or between sequences was a task users found challenging in Hero and Nuke Studio. To make this easier, we have created new functionalities to the way users can select and paste soft effects. First, we have added a new selection tool to only select soft effects, making it easier when working with complex timelines to make sure you select only the effects without manipulating your track items. But we know that edits are evolving at all times, and the hope for a locked edit is ever less possible. To deal with evolving edits or moving soft effects between different versions of your sequence, we have added new ways to paste soft effects around your project. You have now options to override current soft effects to a completely new way to paste soft effects sequentially onto your new edit, as well as the classic operation, making it easier than ever to evolve your edits. For the users working between the node graph and the timeline, we are bringing in this release the ability to copy-paste between node graph and timeline. Artists can now copy and paste any read node or track items between the node graph and a sequence in the timeline, as well as nodes with equivalent soft effects. This works in all timeline tools, so if you have done any color adjustments during a sync session, you can now copy that soft effect directly into your node graph. Or you can quickly reposition and match plates on the timeline and then copy them directly to your Nuke script. Jumping between the timeline and the node graph to get the best of each side has never been easier. Another long-time requested feature is the ability to change the frame per second of clips in the Hero projects, and this will be possible in the next Hero release. We have heard versions numbers can grow very rapidly in your projects. For this reason, we have also added a new value in the spreadsheet, num versions, which shows the total number of versions in the sequence. This value will change when scanning new versions if there are any new versions available. We think this will make it easier when managing projects with a large number of versions. This release also introduces a number of design improvements we expect to improve the overall user experience. These are an updated toolbar timeline menu where soft effects and create comb are separated to speed up workflows, as well as redesigned playhead, which includes new lines and AB labels indicating which tracks are visible and assigned to the AB buffers. This new UI will change indicating how many tracks are visible and in which buffer, making it easier to know exactly which tracks are loaded where.
Thank you, Anais. And to continue with some more features on the timeline, we want to talk about monitor out. Monitor out is becoming more and more important in our workflows. In Nuke 13, we introduced a lot of functionality from the timeline into the node graph. And in 13.1, we are evolving the monitor out to become even more powerful for review sessions. We have added the new functionality to output annotations and the mouse pointer to your monitor out devices from your timeline. You now have individual controls over each one. Either you just want to use your mouse pointer while pointing at something at the screen, or you can have it with annotations to have live drawing and text into your monitor out. And obviously you can have both at the same time. This works with either the floating window or your preferred monitor out card. But this is not all. We have reorganized some of the preferences on the viewer monitor out properties panel to make it more intuitive, as well as adding a new horizontal flop option. And as always, we have updated the Agile and Blackmagic SDKs to make sure you're running the latest versions. So, that was what we have got planned for Nuke 13.1 around empowering artists. If you want to get your hands on any of these features and give them a go, look out for the Nuke 13.1 beta, which we'll be releasing in the next few weeks. It is really important, particularly with artist tools, that we get your feedback on how they feel and if they're working for you. So look out for the beta and please let us know what you think. Also, as we mentioned, a lot of the features that we have shown started out as feature requests. So if there is something you would like us to add or change in Nuke, let us know and we will do our best. The next section of features we want to show you are all around reducing pipeline friction. A VFX facilities pipeline determines how efficiently each department can operate and how effectively the work can get done. At Foundry, we are always looking for ways to improve how pipelines operate. To make it easier for data to move from one department to another and to ensure that everyone on the team is looking at the right image. We have some exciting projects in the works aimed at reducing frictions in the pipeline. So let's take a look at some of what is to come. Color is one of the most important parts of any pipeline, and making sure we all see the same thing is as scary and complicated as it is invisible when it works. For this reason, we have decided to diverge from the VFX reference platform this year and bring you OCIO v2 earlier than planned. OCIO v2 has been developed over the past few years as part of the Academy Software Foundation. It brings a lot of features, but in this release, we're concentrating on putting the basics and making sure that the first part and the most important part for us was introduced. What OCIO v2 does in the color management system in Nuke 13.1 is bringing consistency between the GPU and the CPU viewers, making sure that you can work seamlessly between the timeline, the node graph. Even if your viewer is set to GPU or CPU, your LUTs will look the same. We have also updated all the OCIO nodes to use the new library, as well as the read nodes and write nodes, and all the viewers are now using OCIO viewer node to bring consistency to all viewers, including the monitor out. There is a few more features inside the new OCIO v2 library. One of those is the OCIO color space node has a new option with a swap input and output to make it easier just to set it up. Also, the OCIO file transform, CDL transform, look transform have a new feature on inverse direction checkbox. This is as OCIO v2 lets you automatically invert 3D LUTs. The OCIO file transfer node now supports two new LUT formats, the CLFs and the CTFs. We have also renamed the library to lib OpenColorIO Foundry, so Nuke will now not conflict with other builds of OpenColorIO on the user system. As mentioned before, we have also added all OCIO nodes as soft effects in the timeline, and now are found under the new OCIO menu under soft effects. Finally, to make sure compatibility is maintained, we kept the current OCIO v1 configs to make sure this is as easy a transition as possible. Now again, OCIO v2 has a lot of new features that we haven't implemented yet on this release, and we will be looking into adding some of those features in future releases.
For Nuke 13.1, we've extended the machine learning tools to allow users to run third-party PyTorch models natively inside Nuke. Well, this will vastly expand the number of machine learning models available to artists in Nuke, whether that's a new tool from the R&D department or the latest research on GitHub. And it'll fit conveniently into your pipeline. No more converting and round-tripping images to process in a Python environment. Artists can now run the latest networks right there in the Nuke node graph. The way it works is, using the new cat file creator node, you can convert PyTorch models into custom .cat files. And just like with the .cat files from Copycat, these can then be loaded into the inference node to run on your footage. To get the full power of your models, they can now have parameters that are controlled by knobs, as well as different input and output resolutions. And as inference is no longer limited to 4 channels, you can run networks that run on multiple layers or even multiple frames. We've tried out segmentation models, optical flow models, outputting motion vector channels, even generative networks. But these are just the tip of the iceberg of what's now available to you in Nuke.
The other big part of reducing pipeline friction is improving the way in which Nuke interops with other applications. In particular, we have been working with the Katana team to improve the workflow between Katana and Nuke. In lighting and compositing, you often have artists using Katana and Nuke side by side, and at Foundry we want to make this workflow easier, so that everyone is always working in the context of the final composite. The upcoming release of Katana 5 will include new tools for round-tripping a lighting render through a Nuke node graph and previewing the results in Katana. With Katana 5, one or more lighting renders can be streamed from Katana to Nuke, where the renders can then be run through a Nuke node graph, and the output from Nuke then streams back into Katana. This means that lighting artists can see the effect that a Nuke node graph will have on their lighting while they are working in Katana. So lighters can make adjustments to lights and materials in Katana, but in the context of the final composite. As a Katana artist adjusts a light, they can see how their changes will be affected by everything that happens in the Nuke node graph, and can make more informed choices about how they modify their scene. The new Katana Nuke interop will be particularly useful for those of you who do both lighting and compositing on the same shot. Being able to see the effects that a Nuke script has on your renders will enable you to make decisions about which changes you make in Katana and which you make in Nuke. Being able to round-trip lighting renders through Nuke will also enable lighters and compositors to work more closely and efficiently together. The Katana artist can see what changes the comp script will have on their renders, and the Nuke artist can be confident that the changes that they make in the composite are being considered by the lighter. No more surprises for either side, as everyone will be working in context, meaning more efficient workflows and better collaboration for both departments. Another project that we have improving interop between applications is the Unreal Reader, which will be included as a Nuke X beta feature in Nuke 13.1. Unreal Reader makes it quick and easy for compositors to work with pixels coming out of Unreal Engine, by breaking objects into rendering layers, pulling AOVs, building environment maps, and making tweaks to shot framing. The Unreal Reader works by connecting Nuke X to Unreal Engine over a TCP IP connection. Unreal can be run on the same machine as Nuke or on another machine, even across different operating systems. Your selected Unreal sequence is synchronized and rendered directly into Nuke. The Unreal Reader gives you control to request the data that you need directly from Nuke. Using the node level controls in Nuke, you can request various AOVs to be generated, including beauty passes, stencil layers, and utility passes like scene depth and Cryptomatte data. All of these AOVs are generated on demand, so you only need to pull in the data that you need when you need it. You can also isolate specific objects into their own render layers, with the option to remove dynamic shadows and occluding objects from that selected render. This gives you the flexibility to generate mattes for specific objects, or to layer up objects piece by piece as you would in a normal composite. We've also included the ability to render your Unreal scene as a cube map. This allows you to convert an Unreal scene into a lat long or an environment sphere. You could use this in conjunction with Kara VR for converting Unreal scenes into spherical environments, generate environment maps for use by the lighting department, or use the position data from Unreal to reconstruct the 3D scene in Nuke using position to points. You can also synchronize a camera in Nuke with one in your Unreal sequence. This means that you can have a camera in Nuke's 3D space that exactly matches the one in Unreal, allowing you to use projections and texture placement in Nuke's 3D system to augment your Unreal render. What's more, you can even override Unreal's render camera with one supplied from your Nuke script. So if you want to nudge a camera a few units to the right, or push in slightly, you can make that change in Nuke without having to go back to Unreal. The Nuke camera will override the Unreal one, giving you an updated Unreal render with the new camera position, with all the appropriate parallax changes included. This workflow is non-destructive, as it overrides the Unreal camera at render time, without modifying the original Unreal scene. So you can go wild and try out as many different framings of your shot as you choose, without worrying about breaking anything in the original scene. The new Unreal Reader in Nuke 13.1 accelerates the pipeline for getting image data from Unreal into NukeX, enabling you to combine the speed and efficiency of real-time rendering with the flexibility and fine-grained control available in Nuke's node graph. Whether Unreal Engine is being used for previs, virtual production, or final pixel rendering of VFX and animation, Nuke's Unreal Reader enables you to work quickly and efficiently, bringing the power of Nuke to your real-time projects.
So, that was everything that we have planned for the short term in Nuke 13.1. Hopefully there is some features in there that you are excited about, so again, if you want to try them out, then look out for the beta in the next few weeks. But before we wrap up, we want to show you a couple of things that we have planned for the future. These are longer term projects and we are not sure exactly when we will deliver them. But these are some things that we are actively thinking about and working on. The first one is one that you have probably heard me talking about, and it's related to the timeline of truth. This is about the ability to maintain data and pipeline from set all the way till the end. And it comes around standards like OCIO that we just talked about. But there is another standard that is being revolutionizing the 3D side, as it is USD. And in the 2D side, there is one that is happening that is called OTIO, and the handling of metadata. And we think that that can revolutionize how we're going to do ingest, distribution, management of plates, and metadata through our pipelines. Today, there is a big disconnect between the edit, the plates, the metadata attached to it. Even though during the last decade, we have digital cameras tracking systems on set, witness cameras all over, with framing decisions made on set that never made it to the end of the pipeline. The ability to maintain and track all of this data is what we are after with the timeline tools. As you have seen today, we have added the add metadata soft effect, and we are preparing the timeline to be able to carry and use all this as we evolve. But it's not just the timeline. Imagine if all your plates are being related in time with OTIO for your Nuke scripts, and you could really have all your lens and tracking data from your camera. What happened if you could do your lens distortion completely calculated from that metadata? Well, that is what we are looking into. There is a really interesting horizon in here, and we are really excited to be working in the OTIO and metadata management for the timeline tools and Nuke.
The last thing to mention before we go to the Q&A is that we have a big change to Nuke's performance in the works. We know from your feedback that improving performance is a high priority for you, and it's something that we've been working on for a long time, with each release over the last few years including incremental performance improvements. But what we're working on now is a much more substantial improvement to Nuke's performance, which we're achieving through a complete revamp of Nuke's node graph rendering architecture. We plan to introduce a new rendering system to Nuke, which we are calling top-down rendering. Top-down rendering inverts Nuke's classic rendering method, rendering the node graph node by node from the top of the node graph down, rather than scanline by scanline on demand. This new architecture enables Nuke to cache data more efficiently and reduce thread synchronization issues, resulting in significantly faster rendering and interactive workflows in Nuke. What this means for you is that as you are working, Nuke will process the script much faster than before. Whenever you connect the viewer to a branch of your script, or adjust a slider on a node, Nuke will process the graph and update the viewer much more quickly. You'll be able to move around the node graph and make changes exactly as you always have, but with the pixels delivered to the screen faster. This will enable you to spend more time working and less time waiting for Nuke. Performance in Nuke is variable, depending on the script that you're rendering, but in our internal testing, we have found that, on average, top-down rendering is 40% faster than Nuke 13.0. But in some of our test scripts, top-down rendering is up to 4 times faster. This means that Nuke will deliver the pixels to the screen much faster than it currently does. Top-down rendering will allow you to work faster and more efficiently, without having to wait for Nuke in order to see your changes. Alright, that is everything that we have to show to you today. Thank you to all the amazing contributors who have shared footage for us to use for testing and in this demo. We really appreciate your incredible work. And now, let's go to the Q&A.
All right. So that was everything that we're bringing to 13.1, and there is some really good questions around, so we'll start with some of those. The first question is actually from Hugo about any either on Nuke 13 machine learning tools on the Mac side, and we can talk a little bit more about the new machine learning tools. Ben?
Yeah. So any ETA on Nuke 13 ML tools on the Mac? First thing I would say is you do actually have the ML tools on the Mac at the moment. They are there. We do appreciate that they are slower than NVIDIA systems. And the reason for this is because we're doing training rather than just inference tools. And so we kind of rely on PyTorch, and that is very CUDA specific. So it's something we're aware of. We're in talks about it, and we do want to solve this, but I don't have a firm ETA for you at the moment, but we're working on it.
Do you want to clarify anything about the feature today that we showed on the new? A little jump in the middle of that one. So what it is you can now load third-party PyTorch models directly and natively run them inside Nuke. So you convert them from TorchScript models into .cat files, which are the same format as are output by Copycat, and then you can load them inside the inference node. And no needing to go out, render files, go into a Python environment, right there in Nuke for you. Cool. All right. Thank you, Ben. So as you're voting, I'm kind of going through the questions. So the next one is an interesting one. Obviously, it's coming up, but any era on top-down rendering? And I'm going to, David, what do you think?
The honest answer is when we're confident in it. It is, as I'm sure you can imagine, this is a very big and deep architectural change in Nuke. And while we're really excited about the performance gains that it brings you, we need to make sure that it's also stable and that top-down rendering doesn't bring any negative effects to Nuke. We need to everything that Nuke currently does needs to work and also be faster with top-down. So we're working on it. We're making really good progress, and we'll hope to bring it to you soon, but I can't give you a definitive answer today, unfortunately. But we will hopefully have an alpha out at some point. If people would like to test it, we'd love to get your feedback on it. That would really help us in the future.
I think that's the most important part to highlight. We will really like you to test it. We won't know as good as it is until you guys test on all the different type of works that you guys do. So hopefully we can get an alpha or something out to you guys sooner rather than later. So we'll be looking into that. And if you're interested, again, please contact us and we'll try and get you involved into the beta and alpha process
Yes, definitely.
Cool. The next one is going to be an interesting one because I'm not sure about it. Are there any custom AOVs from Unreal to Nuke plugin? The built-in set that pass in Unreal has problems and does not work as expected. There is noticeable artifacts when rendering from Unreal. I don't know if David, Ben, do you know a little bit more about that? Or
I don't think any of us on this call are experts on Unreal Engine. My understanding is that we get the data from Unreal and then we pass it and we put it into Nuke. So we are somewhat beholden to what's coming out of Unreal to begin with. So I don't think there are any other additional custom passes or anything like that. We're really just taking what comes out of Unreal and making it easy and quick to get it into Nuke so you can work with it as fast as possible.
we'll get you. It will be great if you can test it and see if you can have it in Nuke, and if there is little bits and bits that you can actually fix in Nuke, or we actually need to figure out something with Unreal to fix some of those setup issues. So it'll be great to hear back from you guys once you test the Unreal connection, the Unreal reader. And I'm gonna go into things are jumping because everyone is voting things around and trying to figure out which one is the next. So
I think the next one is any plans for a, oh, it already changed. Any plans for a rasterized paint system in Nuke on the horizon? This is another one that is obviously a high priority thing for a lot of people. We're not actively working on upgrading the RotoPaint tools. There's work that we're focusing on upgrading the 3D system right now, and there's a lot of work that's happening now and in the future that will be focused on upgrading that system. And we kind of need to stick to one major overhaul at a time, but it's something that we know is important and we'd like to visit in the future, but it's not happening immediately.
cool. Do you mind pressing down on that one, David?
Yes, sorry.
All right, all good. So obviously, since you're talking about the 3D system, David, we have to kind of go into that.
Yes.
What about a new particle engine?
So yes, again, that's not coming immediately. The 3D system is the big project that we're working on, and that's continues throughout the 13 series. So in 13, we've had the new Hydra Viewer. 13.1, we've got the new user experience improvements, and we're looking at other ways that we can improve the 3D system in the future, specifically focusing on how we can improve performance and scalability. And that's really our next area of focus for the 3D system. And once we've solved that, then we can start looking at additional things that feed into that, things like a new particle engine. But the thing to solve first is the performance, and then we'll look at additional things like the particle system.
Thank you. So the next one is about, can we have support for M1s on the Mac? We are testing on them. We are starting to do the work, and this is part of our roadmap. Definitely important, as we know that there is a lot of you using Macs, and obviously with new machines coming out, we really want to support them. So we are in the process, and we'll make sure that is in one of the next releases.
I have an answer for the previous question about the Z depth in the Unreal Reader, actually.
Sure.
So apparently Unreal natively supports 2 depth passes, scene depth, which is very limited, but world depth stores the depth in the red channel and should be accurate, and both are available in the Unreal Reader. We're not supporting custom user AOVs out of the box, but a lot can be done in the settings to turn on-off render settings and console variables to control the output.
There you go.
There you have
We
it.
learned something today. Thank you, Ben. And thank you for the research team that probably show up answering a bit more info on that. Cool. So the next one I'm going to is what is new in OCIO v2 compared to v1. There is a lot of new features and new functionality within the OCIO v2. I will suggest you to go into the OCIO website on the Academy Software Foundation side. Mainly, there is multiple things, but the main reason we brought it in is because of the GPU and CPU consistency. And we also have the ability to inverse some of the LUTs without having to actually specify them in the configs. So there will be a lot of new features coming in later on as OCIO v2 really brings a lot of new functionality. So I would suggest to have a look in there because there is a lot of technical areas as well that are new with OCIO v2 that will take a little bit longer to answer here. Cool. Next one is any plans for using BDB inside Nuke? I'm going to pass that to you, David's 3D system.
You're going to pass it to me for the 3D system. Okay, so we're not actively working on VDBs inside Nuke. We did have a research project that was looking at VDB workflows in Nuke. That has recently completed, and we are in the steps of taking what we've learned from that and deciding what to do next with it. So while there's currently no active development on VDB, it's something that we've thought about, and it's something that we may revisit in the future. If it's something that you really want, please send us a feature request and tell us why you want it and also how you would use it, so that we can, it helps us in making these decisions about what we do next.
Thank you. All right. Continuing on the 3D system, I think we have to go to the next one. Sorry, David. Hype is great, but when will it match with a modern renderer?
So yeah, the answer to this is much the same as the answer to the particle system. We're doing an overhaul of the 3D system writ large, and rendering is a part of that in our long-term vision, but it's not the next step. So it's something that we're thinking about. We know that rendering in Nuke could be improved, and it's something that we want to work on for the future, but it's not the next step that we need to take to bring you a modernized 3D system.
All right. Let's answer this quite quickly. How can we sign for the beta? We'll be in open beta for anyone that has a Nuke license, hopefully soon, and that's open obviously to everyone. If you want to be part of the closed betas, do contact us. There is a form they can fill in, and we are constantly looking for people that really want to test. By that, I mean people that will test and give us feedback. It's really important to us to really find that feedback earlier on all these features. So if you're interested, please do contact us either through the forum or through support, and we'll try and get you into the process if you can give us more feedback. We really, really need it. All right. Where else are we going now? Anna, will the new 3D handle will work with USD or Alembic files, or only with the Nuke native geo?
Hello. This is a really quick one. Yes. It will. Yeah, that's basically it. Anything that has an axis knob will be replaced with the new 3D handle.
Awesome. This is actually quite a funny one. I think this is just fun. Which other characteristics or features from all compositing softwares, such as Shake 4.1, might be implemented in the next release? Let us know which one you think you actually are missing. That's the answer to that. Shake, for all of us that were compers at the time and we used Shake, Shake to Disconnect was awesome. And I think that's why it's one of those things that we decided to bring back in. But it'll be great. If you have any other features like that, UX interactions, anything, please do let us know. We've been looking a lot into it. Anna, David's teams have been really working on that, so it'll be great to hear about it if you have any other ideas. Have I jumped any questions, or sorry, continue?
We skipped this one, actually, which was any plans to get deep data out of Unreal Reader? I think the answer to this one is, again, we're somewhat beholden to the data that Unreal can generate, and Unreal doesn't currently generate deep data, so it's not something that we can get into Nuke at this stage. If that's something that you really want, I would encourage you to send a feature request to Epic and ask them for deep data out of Unreal, and then that would be something that we could support in the future. And I think we have another question for Ben here, which is, what plans do you have for further optimizing the copycat node for low to mid-end systems?
Right. So the Nuke 13 release of Copycat, that was the first release, and we're still actively developing it. So we've got tons of plans for further optimizations for low mid-end systems, but for all systems. So we want it to run quicker. There's new models we can try, new training algorithms. Yeah, there's tons to do, and we're doing it. It's exciting stuff.
Cool. Thanks, Ben.
I'm saying Houdini engine in Nuke will be great. Something we can talk about with the side effects guys, if you guys are interested on it.
Juan, there's a question here from Hugo. Could we have more options for the monitor out? Could we do 422 output so we can do 4K in HDMI 2.0? At the moment, we only have 444.
Yes, so this is something we've been working on. So part of all these updates to the monitor out system is to be able to get there. So we've been updating everything, making sure that we, in Nuke 13.0, we put the same system in Nuke and in Timeline. And now we added a little bit of features in 13.1 for the Timeline side. And the next step is now being able to do HDMI and some of the HDR workflows. So we'll be looking into this next. That's the next step for the monitor out work.
Cool. Thanks, Juan.
And where are we? I'm lost here. Yeah.
There's a question here about third-party render delegates. So given that you have a Hydra viewer now, any plans to support rendering third-party render delegates? Like instead of scanline render, introduce a Hydra render node. This is something that we talked about. The general consensus, I think, among the team is that while Hydra is a very, very interesting technology, we're waiting for Hydra 2.0. Which will bring with it a lot of the support for rendering, offline rendering, and solve a lot of the problems that Hydra currently has there. We know that third-party render delegates is something that's very interesting to people, but I think we will wait for Hydra 2.0 and then start looking into this seriously.
Thank you, David. So I'm going to answer this. So without OTIO, won't we still need grid shots as all lenses are different to do on the store just based on metadata? So yes, so obviously this is still research work, this stuff that we are looking for the future. But the point is to try and get the metadata from the lens that is on the camera at the moment that it's being shot, which means you will know exactly what's happening with that lens. And when you change lens, you get a different metadata through it, and you get that difference. It could be that we still need to shoot still on the stored grids and things, and just make sure you have still all the different shots and elements that we still shoot. But it will allow us to do a little bit easier work if we can bring that through the metadata process. So that is where we are. Is a lot of investigation, is a lot of research that is happening around this at the moment. and standardization. So again, thank you to the research team who has been doing a lot of this, and as well as kind of some of the timeline guys, and obviously all the OTIO people. All right. I'm gonna continue with you, David. Sorry. Any plans to expand render node, ray tracing, shadows, or glow illumination on it?
A lot of 3D questions tonight. This is great. Again, we know we need to do more on the rendering side of things, and we're not actively looking at how to improve any of the renderers right now. As I said, we're looking at the performance and the scalability, and then we'll come to things like rendering later on down the track. When we get to that point, exactly what we will do is unclear. We may introduce a completely new renderer. We may upgrade Ray Renderer to have the support that you need. We're still trying to figure that step out. So I'm not ready to commit to exactly what we're going to do. But we are thinking seriously about how to improve rendering in Nuke in the future.
All right. Oh, oops, sorry. I should remove that. There you go. We have answered about the Apple Silicon. Are we updating the model builder? David, I'm going to continue with the 3D system for now as we go.
I mean, I feel like the answer to this is the same as the answer to the particle system. It's not on the immediate roadmap. As I say, there's a lot of things that we can do to the 3D system in the future. We're immediately looking at how we can just improve the performance and the scalability. And once we've really nailed that down, that opens up the doors to adding new tools or upgrading tools and doing a lot of different things. But that will come later on.
So as we don't have much more time, unfortunately, today, and there is quite a lot of questions around the 3D system, and I would like to quite a quick, probably, David, since there is a lot of the 3D stuff, a quick overview of what we're actually looking into. So a little bit more in depth of what we're doing with the 3D system.
Sure. So what we're really doing is trying to solve the performance and the scalability problem. So make it so that it's possible to bring in very, very large production level data sets into Nuke and work with them in a performance and scalable way. This really does mean gutting a lot of the current geometry processing engine and putting something new in its place or revamping that. We're looking at USD as the backbone for that. It's still very early days and we don't have anything to show you at this stage. I'm hoping that we'll have something for the next Foundry Live. But it's really around upgrading the deep architectural geometry processing to make it more performant, more scalable, and to build something that can support you for the next 10 years or more.
Thank you, David. I'm gonna pass this quite quickly. I'm gonna do a couple of things I think we should cover very quickly before we finish. So any plans for simplifying the GUI or of older or less well-known nodes in Nuke that might improve usability and practicality? Anna?
It really depends which ones you'd like us to do. So please send in your feature requests. I know that's kind of dodging the dodging the answer, but it really depends which ones. And if you guys send us in what you'd like us to do, then we can certainly have a look at that.
Cool, thank you. I'm going to quite quickly answer this one. Nuke NDI output, we are looking into it. Again, it's part of the work that we're doing in the monitor out, and it's something we're hopefully looking for one of the next releases. I think we're getting till the end. Anyone wants to pick one last one?
I have an answer for, I think it was Lars who's asked a question in the chat about whether it's supporting Unreal 5 for the Unreal Reader. Apparently, yes, we will be supporting it as it moves closer to release, but not right now while it's on early access.
Thank you, Ben. I think we're getting to the end. Any other one that anyone see that we can answer quickly?
Having a quick scan.
I think that is about it.
Yeah, I think
there's a few questions about monitor out with HDR. So we are looking into that for Linux and all this, the different operating systems and deck links and AJA cards as well. We've been looking at live input from camera. That's something else that we are looking into. It will be very interesting to know who of you are interested in that as well. The research team has been looking into some of that. So yeah, I think that's a few bits and pieces on the monitor out. I think with that, unfortunately, we are at the end of the time that we have today. So we have a few other sessions coming up this week. We have the research one, which hopefully you can join. There is really, really cool work coming in there. As well as next week, we have a couple more, including the Flix one. So with that, thank you, David, Anais, Anna, Ben, Jen, Joyce, everyone in the team for all the help on making this happen. And thank you all of you for joining us today. And hopefully we can talk soon.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.